Okay, good afternoon everybody. My name is Elise Hatton and I am the Smart Hub Business Manager. I think everyone in the room knows me. Very welcome to our Lunch and Learn. Our Rockhampton Regional Council is very committed to supporting our local entrepreneurs and business owners, and one of the ways in which we demonstrate the support is by hosting these Lunch and Learns. So your job today as a business owner, entrepreneur, is to learn one thing that you can take away and implement in your business straight away that will actually make a difference for you. That's really the premise of these Lunch and Learns. I think when you go along and listen to anyone speak, you want to at least learn one thing that will move the dial in your business. So we have a very, very, very cool lady who's going to teach us that one or more things that you're going to learn today. Her name is Trish Mossman, and I'm going to read Trish's bio quickly. So Trish is the founder of Unwrite the Rules, a lifestyle business designed to help women release the limited mindsets holding them back from living the life they want. She practices what she preaches. She has spent the last 3 years traveling the world full time. Now that, I must say, that sounds awesome. Working from a digital nomad hubs, such as the Smart Hub, but also hubs in Thailand, Bali, Colombia and Mexico. Trish is back here in her hometown for the first time in 3 years to share with us this afternoon. So we are super, 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 super lucky to have Trish with us. So as you know, I always say, oh, you would have read all about Trish on the marketing, so let me tell you an interesting fact about Trish. So here's Trish's quirky fact. At the age of 40, Trish went sandboarding down the side of a volcano in Nicaragua. However, this rocky girl is still afraid of being 20 meters of a cow. So not very good.
Terrifying.
We keep
Terrifying
all the cows terrified of cows. So it is my pleasure to welcome Trish. Thank you very much. She said, I had a quick chat to her on Friday and she said, you have to realize as a speaker, I'm all over the place and have my arms up in the air. So I'm looking forward to a very energetic and armful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elise, and thank you everyone for coming, for taking your lunch hour to come here with me today. Thank you to everyone watching online on the Smart Hub page on Facebook. As Elise said, I'm a rocky girl. I am afraid of cows, so you can imagine how interesting that was in the beef capital of Australia, growing up afraid of cows. Even better, for the last 3 years I lived here, I was a vegetarian. So heaps of fun at barbecues, life of the party, you can probably imagine. So thanks again for coming. Just to make sure you're in the right room, this is what we're going to talk about today. By the end of the session, you'll discover that mindset isn't magic. It's not something, sometimes when you hear people talk about mindset, you get the impression that it's all about sitting with legs crossed, wishing things, they magically appear. That's not how it works. I'll show you exactly how it does work. There are parts of the brain activated. I'll warn you in advance, I get really geeky when I talk about this stuff. I think it's fascinating. Hopefully you will too. And then we'll end with 3 ways to train your brain for success. These practical takeaways that you can use to implement in yourself and see the results in your business. So yes, who am I? As Elise said, I started in Rocky, but my journey's taken me literally all the way around the world since then. I was bitten by the travel bug at a young age, actually here in Rockhampton. When I was 18, I won a trip to Disneyland. So thank you, local Classic Hits 4RO, for giving me the opportunity to go to Disneyland. It was my first time out of central Queensland. And it was just fascinating. It started off in me a lifelong interest, both in travel, but also in the differences between people. I remember being fascinated, even then, that I was over in this place where people looked like me, spoke the same language, but they thought so differently. They saw the same thing I was seeing and came up with a completely different idea about what it meant. It was fascinating. So I studied psychology at university and took this fascination for both travel and understanding how people tick. Started my career in the diplomatic service. I was a diplomat in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, for a few years at the age of 22. I think I first went there. I was a peace monitor in post-conflict Bougainville, which is part of Papua New Guinea. And then after coming back from those amazing experiences, I lasted about a year in Sydney, then expatriated myself over to the UK. So my 9 years there was mostly still in international relations, with the Commonwealth Secretariat, working alongside people from all 53 countries of the Commonwealth, which was again fascinating. We're all on the same board, we all have such different experiences, and just learning how to engage and work with people's own notions of how things are. And when I was in the Commonwealth, I managed to get to travel and work in countries in Africa, the Caribbean, North America, Pacific, and one very thrilling account when I led a workshop in Canberra. That was an exciting move for me. So it was over while I was in London that my entrepreneurial heart broke free of its bureaucratic cage. I couldn't deal with the constrictions anymore, despite the amazingness of everything I was seeing and doing. So then I launched off with myself, originally myself as a business, consulting, freelancing. Then I got my first failed business ticked off. Hooray, entrepreneur milestone. Pleased with that. And as Elise said, for the last 3 years, I've been location independent with Unwrite the Rules. I've traveled to all these countries where inspired, motivated digital entrepreneurs gather. And my mission with Unwrite the Rules and the Life Design Bootcamp, which is my main product and coaching course for women, is to help more women find what lights them up and bring their vision into the world. So I'm super excited to be here today, sharing what I know with everyone here and everyone watching online. So first of all, let's get into it. Can I see, if you're online, drop it something in the comments. Who here has an Instagram account for fun or pleasure? Almost everybody, all the women, go girls. So if you've been on Instagram for more than about 3 seconds, you will have seen quotes like this. I'll read them out in case you can't see them. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Believe you can and you're halfway there." Napoleon Hill, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve." And Henry Ford's famous quote, one of them, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." So I want to make this interactive. First of all, who looks at quotes like these and feels inspired and motivated? Hands up or drop a comment. Okay, pretty much almost everyone. I might have a compatriot here in the audience. Who looks at these and thinks, when you talk about thinking your way to success, who looks at them and thinks, what a load of rubbish? How can the thoughts inside your head affect what other people do to me? How the world influences me? How can thinking change the real world? That sounds like rubbish. What were these dead white guys talking about? Does anyone apart from me used to think that? Right, good. Let me know. You can be brave in the comments if you're watching online. So I was very skeptical. I saw these as, buzzwords, as things that people throw out. I thought, how could this possibly be true? But it's a very easy, logical way, and that's what I'm going to share with you today, how the science behind mindset and how it actually can be used to increase your success in your business and life in general. So as always, let's start with the definition. Mindset is a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. So this is a no BS guide. That's a great definition, but let's make it even shorter. Mindset affects what you see and do. And here I am saying that mindset literally affects what you see. Literally what you see. So you see what you expect to see. Again, no BS. If you're coming in cold looking at this, you might think, that's rubbish, how can that possibly be true? I'm going to show you how that is true by doing a little exercise with you. I promised it was interactive, so here we go. This might be hard for you to see if you're watching online, but hopefully you can. What we're going to do is I'm going to flip the slide and you'll see a photo with a whole bunch of coloured stripes. I want you to count the red stripes. Tell me how many red stripes you see. There's no secret. There's some that are orange that you might think are red. That's not meant to trick you. All you need to do is count the red stripes. I'm going to keep that photo up for about 2 to 3 seconds. Your mind only needs about 1 second to take everything in, but I'm feeling nice and generous. So I'll give you about 3 seconds to have a look, and you are counting the red stripes. Everyone ready? Let's go. All right. Who saw? How many red stripes are there? Call it out if you're here. Drop it in the comments. We've got a 4 and a 3. Another 3, another 3, 4.
There was 3. There was 2 different shades.
Yeah, so that actually wasn't the trick thing. The answer is 4, but one of them looked a bit orange, so I'll give you both of that. But the next part, which is the more interesting part, I think, how many grey stripes were there? How many grey stripes on that image?
2, 3.
Is that a guess? I heard the same person say 2 and 3 if you saw online. So most of us just guess. We don't know how many grey stripes there were. And it's not because your brain didn't see it. Your brain is this marvelous, amazing piece of machinery. You looked at every stripe to see if it was red or not. You scanned all the way. Your brain knows how many grey stripes there are there, but your mouth can't tell me because the part of your brain that saw the stripes didn't pass it up to your conscious mind. The conscious bit is at the start and the part that processes it at the back. Now I'm going to geek out, but I promise this is useful. Once you know this, you'll be able to use it in your own life. I feel a little bit like a uni lecturer, but it's fine. So we have this really cool thing called the reticular activating system. This is basically a filter. We get so much information from all our senses every second of every day. There's temperature, there's sounds outside the room, inside the room. Somebody's belly might be grumbling. There's so much stuff flying at us all the time. If we had to become consciously aware at all times of every minute thing that's coming in our senses, well, this is my non-scientific opinion, but I think our heads would probably burst into flames. So that's not a very good evolutionary tactic. So instead, the brain has got this part called the reticular activating system. It filters out everything that's not important and brings to your conscious mind only the things that are important. So why is that important? That's important because you get to tell your brain what you want to know about. You get to program in what is important, so you'll see these things like the grey stripes that otherwise would have been completely invisible to you. So, side note, it's this part of the brain. If anyone has had the experience of buying a new car, wanting to buy a new car, I don't know the names of cars. Can someone give me the name of a car brand? Holden something. So you want to buy a Holden Captiva. You want to buy a Holden Captiva. You think it's cool. You know, nobody else has it. As soon as you decide you want one, maybe you pick a colour, you start noticing them everywhere. You see them in the car park, you see them driving down the street, whereas you would swear that no one in your neighbourhood had a Holden Captiva. You find out suddenly that 5 of them do. They didn't all go out and buy those cars. It's because your decision to buy the car and showed your brain that it was something that was interesting. So all those cars you've been seeing for the whole last few weeks, the information was passed from the reticular activating system up to the conscious part, so you literally see what you expect to see, which is super cool. So you can see now it's not magic. There's a feature of your brain that proves that your thoughts affect what you see. But again, this question at the start, how can things happening inside your head, how can your thoughts affect things that happen to you outside that? I will show you how. More interaction. This famously used example, can you tell me, write in the comments or shout out here, what do you see?
Glass half full.
Glass half full? Anyone see anything different? Someone say glass half empty. So this basically, people will see a glass as half full as a glass half empty. Those who are half empty, we would brand them as pessimists. We might say they have a negative mindset. The glass is half full people, optimists, and we might say they have a positive mindset. But in actual fact, it's a glass of water. The objective truth is that there's water in a glass. The story that you tell yourself about what that means, whether it means it's half full or means it's half empty, is completely subjective. It's not a fact. Both are factually correct. What you tell yourself is a choice that you make. Why is this important? Because this is exactly how the thoughts inside your head influence things that happen to the world around you, even if you can't see a direct link. Your mindset influences your thoughts. Our optimist friend saw a glass half full. Thoughts influence feelings, feelings influence actions, and actions cause reactions, results, or outcome in the world around you. If anyone's done sales training, you'll know that sales are an emotional decision. So we as humans in our brain might retrospectively invent a rational reason for it, but really when you're on a call, when they want it, it's an emotional decision. So let me give an example of exactly how this cascading trail works. I'm going to switch the water for wine because I feel more happy talking about wine. So let's imagine you are at a dinner party. There's maybe 8 people. On one end of the table is your friend, pessimistic Peggy, and at the other end is optimistic Oscar. So it's one of those posh restaurants. I don't know if there's one in Rocky, I'm sure there is, where the maid of these come around and top up your wine glasses when, I'll have to get the names if there is. They top up your wine glasses, right? So by some magical quirk of physics, Both pessimistic Peggy and optimistic Oscar had the exact same level of wine in their glass. So let's start with pessimistic Peggy. As an example, mindset influences thoughts. We've already decided she's pessimistic. She looks at the wine glass and thinks it's half empty. Thoughts influence feelings. She might feel annoyed by that. She might feel irritated that she's paying so much for this corkage service and her wine is running out. She'll see it as being running out. She'll feel lack. It's on the way out. It's half empty already. She might feel irritated. And you know those feelings then influence her actions. So in this case, she would probably be looking around for the waiter, trying to catch his attention. She would disengage from the conversation around her, and try to do a bit of this. She might, if she's unsuccessful, she might when she's doing that, she'll stop paying attention to people talking to her. She won't be making eye contact with her friends. She'll be looking around for the waiter. She might interject in someone's great story saying, "Oh, can you believe the service at this place?" Blah, blah, blah. So those influence her actions, and it's those actions of her that cause reactions and results. Firstly, her experience of the evening won't be positive. She spent a good portion of it annoyed and irritated. By her acting that way, by being distracted, by looking around for the waiter or maitre d', she might be annoying her friends. So it might end that her friends get annoyed with her in return. They might chat about her, taking it to an extreme example. Peggy may not get invited to dinners anymore because she's clearly a big downer. On the other side of the table, optimistic Oscar, mindset, exactly same glass. He sees it as half full. Thoughts influence feelings. He probably won't feel anything about that particular glass. Or he might feel relieved that he doesn't have to worry, he can keep staying talking to his friends. Feelings influence actions. Because he's not obsessed and focused on that, he has a feeling of satisfaction, abundance, there's plenty of wine. He'll just stay talking to his friends. He'll be making eye contact, he'll stay engaged, he'll be laughing, he'll just be enjoying the evening. Actions cause reactions, results. So the people around him are going to have a great experience. They might have a very positive impression of him. Taking this one to the extreme, one of them, he'll get the chance to tell his story. One of them might hear in a few days of an opportunity and bring him to mind, "Oh, my friend Oscar might be good for that." So Oscar's then recommended, even if he's in the same business as Peggy, he's the one that gets the call. He's the one that gets this magical opportunity out of thin air. And it all traces back to, at the top level, his mindset. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay. So just again, something happens. That something is always neutral. Even if it seems that there's no other way to look at it other than either positive or negative, it's always neutral. Your mindset is the prism or lens through which you see things. That leads to thoughts, feelings, actions, and you end up at a completely different place, miles apart, based on this tiny change at the start, at the top, which was mindset. Okay. So we have talked about, I've been using examples of positive mindset, negative mindset. The literature uses different terms, fixed mindset and growth mindset. Is everyone already familiar with these? Just very quickly, a fixed mindset is the belief that your potential was determined at birth. So you've got it or you don't. You're good at sport or you're not good at sport. That's it. A growth mindset is a belief that we can work hard and improve. So this mindset affects your thoughts, which, as we saw, cascades into two different endpoints. Someone with a fixed mindset might have a negative internal dialogue. I'm an idiot. They don't like to ask questions in case they sound stupid. They'll say, I can't, because it's their belief that they can or they can't. I avoid challenges. I give up quickly. Why strive when you've just proved it's not one of your things, you can't do it? The growth mindset is completely different. Comfortable making mistakes, says I can't do it yet. Positive internal dialogue, I'm getting better, and wants to learn from criticism. I like that it says wants to learn from criticism, not embraces criticism, because I honestly don't know any real human who's like, yes, you told me I suck, great. I don't think that's real. But embraces criticism, chooses to use it as a lesson and improve. So because of that, first, can we all agree that in terms of being an entrepreneur, the growth mindset is the one we're all aiming for? Yes, definitely. So that's why I say mindset is actually a competitive advantage. It's one of the dials on your business that you can and should pay attention to and turn to get better results. The growth mindset we just saw is associated with qualities and characteristics that have been proven in research to lead to greater success. Things like resilience, persistence, perseverance, grit, all these grow out of a growth mindset. And I'll just show you, I love this. In terms of resilience and persistence, I love these stats. I'll pick just a couple for you. How many times should you try? Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, was rejected 25 times before it got published as the world domination book that it went on to be. And I particularly love this one. Colonel Sanders, who just started KFC, was turned down when he tried selling his delicious chicken recipe 1,009 times. Now, this is something, we'll see Thomas Edison's quote here about how he found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. This was Colonel Sanders. Someone else was in control of his destiny. He had to get a yes. It wasn't something he could do in terms of build another light bulb. And he kept going past 25 rejections. Imagine getting 25, saying, I'm going to keep going. 69 times someone has said no to you. Then make that 169. Then 369. 700 times. Just imagine, feel in your body how it would feel for someone to say, no, your idea is terrible. 700 times. And then he keeps going, 800, 900. What I particularly love is, if there was ever a time to quit, ever a time to say, actually, my chicken is terrible, it would be 1,000, right? A nice round number, 1,000, I'm done, everybody hates me. But no, he kept going, 1,001, 2, 3, 1,009 times. That is the definition of persistence and resilience. So how can we get some of that goodness for ourselves? Let's go into the 3 ways to train your brain for success. Now, the first one, I'm going to warn you in advance, I'm very passionate about. I'm evangelical. If you think I'm waving my arms around a lot so far and talking really fast, it's about to get even more extreme. Get grateful. So gratitude, a gratitude practice is something that it can be tempting to think of as maybe something hippies do, or something, a side thing. It's not that important, but it is, I would say, the number one way to access this competitive advantage of mindset. I'm going to show now a slide of the benefits of a gratitude practice. These aren't just ones that I've made up. These are from research studies from prestigious institutions. I'll read them out in case you can't see. Higher levels of optimism, that ties in with the positive mindset and all what we saw at the first half of the presentation. Better physical and psychological health. I believe it has effects on your immune system. Better sleep quality, more sleep. It's a buffer against stress and negativity. Decreased anxiety and depression. Improved and longer lasting positive emotion. Strengthened willpower. Who doesn't want that? Improved professional skills, which is fascinating. By doing a gratitude practice every day, you actually end up being better at your job. Higher social intelligence, improved relationships, better long-term decision making. Another important one for us as entrepreneurs. And increased likability, which shouldn't be sneezed at. So I'm going to tell you in a second how to do a gratitude practice, but just to give you a heads up, it can take as little as 60 seconds a day. Like 60 seconds. As entrepreneurs, we're all about return on investment, right? How can anyone tell me, can anyone find a better return on time invested than 60 seconds a day for these results? It's absolutely worth doing. It's worth doing even if you're a non-believer, and I highly recommend you do it. The way to do it is every single day you write down 3 things you're grateful for, and that's it. That's exactly it. That is literally all you do. In terms of those research studies, there's been research on whether it's better to write it at morning or night, how you should frame the gratitudes, how many you should write. Really, that's absolutely not important at all. All that's important is you do it because you'll get these reactions. So if you're a handwriting person, you can get a beautiful journal with something inspirational, a picture or words on the front that kind of puts you in a nice mood when you pick it up of an evening or whenever you do it. You can just use a normal journal. You can use the world's ugliest notepad. It really doesn't matter. It's just important that you do it. So I really want everyone here and watching, if you're not doing a gratitude practice already, to start. If buying a journal or finding a notepad is the thing that's going to stop you getting started, then I counter you with, get an app. There are loads of apps on the App Store and the Android Google Play. Tons of different ones. You can play with them all, find the one you like, and start using that. If going and searching and trial and erroring all these apps is going to be the barrier that stops you from starting, my new counter, just pick one of these. If you're on the App Store, pick that. Google Play, there's that one. These are the top-rated free apps. There's no money invested. You can download it. In fact, I won't even be offended if you download it right now. If I see hands down, that's fine. Don't let anything stop you. Now, again, this is the no BS guide, so I'm going to be straight up. For some people who don't have a gratitude practice yet, when you first start doing it, you might find it annoying. You might think of it as an extra thing on your to-do list, trying to remember to do it. If you've got an alert set up on your phone, you might be, oh, that again. But all I can say is remember those positive characteristics as persistence. All I can say is please just give it 2 weeks. Do it every day for 2 weeks. Not only might you start seeing some of these amazing benefits by then, but it actually makes you feel good. Once you get into the habit, you'll start to enjoy it, you'll start to want to do it. And I say that with experience because I was one of the people who was like, ugh, this is going to be really annoying. But you miss it if you, for some reason, I started off with paper journals. You don't have it with you, you miss it. It gives you a good feeling. It must be dopamine or serotonin or whichever one that is. Just persist. If you can give it 2 weeks, it is the number one thing that you can do to put yourself in a positive mindset that then cascades on to greater success in your business and in life in general as well, which is great. So let's move on to number 2. Yes, time, good. Number 2 is write your own story. Now I saw, when I showed you the glass of water, it's a glass of water, it's a neutral thing. If something happens to you, it's a neutral event. You interpret whether it's good or bad, how you feel about it. That's completely within your own control. There's no right or wrong. Even something that seems like it's a definite negative, you can choose to reframe it into a positive. And if you're the only person in a room of 100 who sees things that way, it doesn't make you wrong and everyone else right. The crowd isn't always right. One story I like with this in terms of demonstrating keeping neutral, it's an old Chinese folk tale about an old farmer and his horse. He was living in a border town in China back in feudal times. He loved his prized stallions and he loved his son, and that was it. And one day his number one stallion ran away off into the wilderness. So all the villagers came to see him and they said, oh, what bad luck, that's terrible. And the farmer said, maybe it's not bad luck after all. He kept it neutral, he wasn't putting anything on it. Then a few days later, his stallion came back and it brought with it this mare, this wonderful, I don't know, horse breeds either. What good am I? Horse breeds cars, I don't know. So he brought back this wonderful mare and it was the envy of the village, and they all came and said, wow, you're so lucky. That's so fortunate. And the old farmer said, maybe it's not so lucky after all. So a couple of weeks after that, his son, who he adored, was riding the new horse and it threw him off and he broke his leg in 3 places. He was never going to walk properly again, crippled, in a lot of pain, and the villagers were like, oh, your only son, that's so terrible, what awful luck. And even to this event, the old farmer said, maybe it's not such bad luck after all. And then a couple of weeks after that, the emperor came riding through the village and he was recruiting young able men to fight in his frontier war. So the son, because he couldn't walk properly, was left behind to work in the village instead of being sent off to certain death in a war. So the moral of that story is that Shakespeare said, there's nothing either good or bad, that thinking makes it so. You control your interpretation of any event, so why not choose whichever interpretation, A, makes you feel best, makes you feel in a position where you're going to take actions to bring out the most positive outcome. It's completely your choice, no matter what anyone else is saying, no matter how difficult it is. Now, just to keep it real again, no BS, you can't always control your first thought. If something happens, your first thought might be shaking fists in the sky and, getting dark. That's completely fine, but you can always choose your second thought. And again, just because you thought this is terrible first, it doesn't mean the of trees, there's a nice groove there, it's really easy to walk through. If you want to choose a different path, in this case, make a different thought. You might be like scratched, you might have to move things out of the way, step over obstacles. But once you walk that new path more and more, it'll become more embedded and the old one can grow over. That's kind of what happens in your brain with neural pathways. So the first thought doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thought. You can always choose your thought. So choose the thought that's going to work best for you. And our third tip, feed the vision, which I call radical self-belief. This is another one. We've got a good number of people in the room for me to do an exercise. So why would you feed the vision? You feed the vision because your subconscious, as I've been saying, is like amazing. It does amazing things. We're obviously not consciously aware of it. That's why it's called the subconscious. But it seems almost magical if you don't know how it works. Feeding the vision is programming the subconscious about what you can do, about what's important. And we saw already how that can cascade up and give you different results. So we're going to do an exercise, which I love. You can do it at home if you're watching on the camera, please do it. But here, I need everyone to have at least an arm's width to the left. So maybe if you just move one seat over. What we're going to do is I want you to stick out your left arm. Put out your left arm, make sure you're not touching anyone? Okay. So what you're going to do, I'll just tell you first, or show you first, is you're going to twist around as far as you can, and then eyeball the spot on the wall that your arm reaches. So twist your body around, keep your eyes on your hands, twist your body around, right around to the back. All right, and a little bit further, as far as you can go, no wussing out. Watch on the wall. Does everyone notice the place they got to? Okay, then twist back around. Good. Now I want everybody to close their eyes. Close your eyes and you're going to lift your imaginary arm. Eyes closed, lift the same left arm in your imagination, lift it up and see yourself twisting around. See that space on the wall that you got to last time, and now I want you to go past it. I want you to go 25% past it in your mind. Keep going around. You can feel it as far as you can go in your mental mind. Look at that place. Okay, come back around. Put your imaginary arm down. Keep your eyes closed. We're going to do it just one more time. So lift up your imaginary arm and twist around to the left again. This time, we're going to twist all the way around, like 360, more than you could possibly do in real life. Think of Elastigirl. You're going to twist all the way around your body. Feel your arm going all the way around. Then slowly bring it back down. Put down your imaginary arm. Open your eyes. Now this is the last time we're going to do it with our real arm again. So everyone remembers where they saw with their real eyes. We're going to do it one more time. Left arm up. Eyes at your hand. Twist around as far as you can go. Watch the space on the wall, as far a bit further. Okay, come back around. Now, did anything interesting happen for anyone that time? What happened for you?
A lot further.
A lot further the second time. Another one? Yep, absolutely. So the difference between our first time and our second time, we didn't do any strength training. We didn't do any yoga stretches. We didn't limber anything up. Literally the only difference is that your mind saw you going further. And that had an instant reaction on your physical body. It's a magical thing. It's not magical, it's science, but this is why feeding your vision literally affects your capacities. So how do you feed your vision? There are lots of different ways. You should find the one that works for you. This is where a lot of people find affirmations helpful. That is saying a positive statement over and over. You can say it to yourself, say it in front of the mirror. You can write it down over and over. You can have subliminal affirmations that you play right before you go to sleep with some nice meditative music over the top. You can do a vision board. If you have a vision board, you'll have a visual image of something you're interested in that you strive to achieve. So when you're looking at your vision board, what you need to do is to step into that, to imagine the feeling of having that thing that you've put on your board, because another brain nerd thing, having the emotion attached to the image plants it in a different part of your brain that helps your subconscious deliver it to you. Again, not by magic, just by noticing opportunities that were invisible to you before. And positive self-talk, telling yourself that you can do it. I know it can sound so cheesy, but it actually works. More than telling yourself that you can do it, is just being very careful of the language you use in terms of your potential. We saw the growth mindset people, even if they can't do something, they say, I can't do it yet. Always leave it open. Your subconscious hears what you say to yourself inside your head or aloud, and doesn't know if you're being self-deprecating. You know, if you're talking, it's really hard for us Aussies. If you're talking to someone and you say, oh, who congratulates you on a success, you're like, oh yeah, I was lucky. You know, you are pushing that away. Your subconscious doesn't know that that's a way to bond so you don't look like you're stuck up. It hears you saying that that wasn't because of skill, and it's all in there. It's all part of building a belief. Now, a belief is a thought repeated over and over. A belief is just a thought repeated over and over. It's a thought that's repeated so much you don't even think it anymore, you just know it. Like, I know I'm not good at sports. I know sales calls are meant to be difficult and awkward. You know, I know that no one's going to pay that amount to work with me at this stage of my business. Those aren't facts, those are beliefs. So feeding the vision is about repeating a more positive thought over and over, not just to feel good, but to program your subconscious, which, as we've seen in this talk so far, delivers thoughts, feelings, actions that impact the world around you. Yeah, so I've got one extra bonus one. Hire a coach. Now, the cynical among you might be saying, are you putting that up just because you are a coach and a mentor? And of course the answer is yes, but it's actually useful because we saw at the start how an event is neutral. You see it through the prism of your mindset. Working with someone who is external to that, who doesn't have your mindset, they can offer you alternative views, alternative thoughts, things that you would never have thought of yourself. They're not, they don't come with the burden of your experience, etc. It's just a really good sounding board for issues, to have someone completely outside. And remember, a tweak of the thought at the start can cascade down and have you in completely different places at the end, widely apart from where you would have been before. So that's it for today. Just to recap what we did, mindset isn't magic. It's very logical. Your mindset influences your thoughts, which influences feelings, which influences actions, and actions cause reactions and results in the world around you, even if you can't immediately tie them together. And the 3 ways to train your brain for success. Have I nagged you enough? Is gratitude practice on your list, everybody? I really hope so. I'd like to pretend that I'm not usually this bossy, but my sister's in the room and she'll tell you I am. So get grateful, write your own story. Events are neutral, so why not choose the interpretation that's going to help you step and be productive in a way that's more likely to lead us to success, and feed the vision. Program that subconscious, and you'll see everything flow out of that. That's it from me. I hope you got your one thing. I would love to stay in touch, and you can reach me in all these places. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Any questions?
Yeah.
Just thinking, with regard to gratitude, can you actually just be in that space all the time? Like, I don't always write down my gratitude. I can't try and live like that. Like, I'd like to think that it comes out of the pores of my skin.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as that might sound, it's just sort of like, I really, like, if I'm sitting in traffic, I'll look at someone and think, well, I bless those people, and I hope that they're being kind to their people, and well, that person looks worried beside me. Like, I need to be right in the space. But,
But that's,
is that kind of like, I mean, it's good enough for me.
No, that's fantastic. And that's actually the end game of why people like me who are reluctant to start, that's why we do the gratitude practice, because being forced to think up 3 things every day puts us in that space. We know that we have to find something to be grateful for. So sitting in traffic, we'll look around and go, oh, and we might do what you're just naturally doing. So that's fantastic.
Or then you can have days where you're like having a really shit day. You're going, I'm grateful that I can breathe.
There you go. There you go.
I'm grateful I'm above the ground.
Exactly. Gratitudes also don't have to be giant things. They don't have to be, I'm grateful for my children or anything. It could be, I'm grateful that the electricity is working today. Oh, I'm grateful that I got here despite having a flat tire on my bike and me walking in 2 minutes before the presentation started. So gratitudes don't have to be big things, but yeah, definitely if you aren't naturally in the space where you're finding yourself like that, starting a gratitude journal is going to put you in that space, and that's why you'll end up feeling good all the time if you just persist through the habit forming stage. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I was just going to say, is it hard to think of different ones every day?
You would think so, and I think it is
that the idea though?
yes, always different. So you can't say I'm grateful for being alive, grateful that I live here. You would think so, but eventually it becomes easy. And again, that's the persisting through the start when you're going, oh, worst day ever. And that might be where you end up going, I'm grateful that there's clean water in the tap, or something big that you take for granted. But eventually you might have too many, and you don't need to stop at 3. You can keep going if you have more. Like all these wonderful things happen, or even not wonderful things that I would have just not noticed before, but I appreciate. So yeah. Was there another one over there?
Well, I was going to say, I've been there, done that, where you just got on the old downers and you're just like, yes, I'm grateful for my family. And, and you just write out all the average Joe ones. And I changed my thinking around to think something good that happened to me today. And you, on a bad day, you have to really search for
Exactly.
that. But then you find yourself searching for it during the day.
Exactly.
And it's like, so you're actually,
100%.
You're actually
Yep.
searching
Becomes a
for
way
it.
of
So
life.
it becomes more habit forming, I found.
Exactly.
Trying to find something good that happened rather than something to be grateful for.
That's really good. That's actually the way I did it too. I did it, and that feeling of looking around and seeking out things to be grateful for is part of the magic, right? You start feeling really good about it. And what was I going to say? Something else you said reminded me of something, but it's now flown out of my head. Yeah, that's exactly what I do as well. Something during the day, during the past 24 hours.
Any other questions or comments? Good. Trish, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate
Wow, thank you.
the time that you took to put this together for us. And my favourite part was the story of, when something happens, that can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what's around the corner. So life is happening for us and not to us.
Exactly.
We can have that mindset that really works.
Thank
You
you.
were great. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, now I need to tell you about 3 upcoming events that are amazing. Next Thursday, the 4th of July, Tamara Lur will be here, and she is going to talk to us about social media, but also she's written a book called Balance is BS. You have to blend, blend as mums we understand. You have to how to blend your life. She's a phenomenal speaker. She's a very inspiring person. She's exceptionally good at business, very, very knowledgeable about all things marketing. So we highly, highly, highly recommend that you come along next Thursday on the 4th of July. For members, it's a free event. For non-members, it's a $20 investment. But with that, you get a book. So you actually get Balance is BS. And I cannot recommend this event highly enough. Tamara is truly someone that I would highly, highly recommend that you come along and listen to. So that's on the 4th of July. Then, Startup Weekend. It feels like it was only yesterday when I last said our next Startup Weekend is, and it's almost a year later. But our next Startup Weekend is from the 26th to the 28th of July. I am hoping to see a lot of you in this room there. It's a great event. We have an early bird special at the moment, so $50 for 2 people, not $25 for 1 person, $50 for 2 people. That covers absolutely everything you need, all the food, all the beverages that comes with the weekend, all the expert mentoring. We have 8 incredible mentors that will be joining us across the weekend. We've recruited 4 exceptionally knowledgeable judges. We have a great facilitator who's our entrepreneur in residence, which is Daniel Johnson. So it is a great place to do a few things. Number 1, if you actually want to start a business, come along to a startup weekend. If you don't want to start a business but you want to hone your business skills, your entrepreneurial skills, come along to a startup weekend. If you want to meet more people who are like you, come along to a startup weekend. So this whole entrepreneurial journey, this being in business, can be quite lonely sometimes, but startup weekends are a brilliant place where you can have fun, you can meet people, and you can hone your skills along the way. So I'd highly recommend the startup weekend. 26th to 28th July. The early bird special finishes on the 19th of July, so a couple of weeks to go. But get online today, just register, just come along. It's so worth it. It will be at the Smart Hub, 208 Key Street. And then my final next event is our July Lunch and Learn, which will be on the 30th of July. We're running pitch training here from the Hub, and the people who are running that training for us is Jeff Higgins and John Stave from our Toastmasters group. So they will be talking to us about pitching like a champion. Now, pitching is what we do. All of us, even if you don't think you're pitching, everyone is pitching all the time. We're always telling other people what our ideas are. Even when you're in a job, working for the council, I find myself pitching ideas and different ways of thinking and different strategies all the time. So I highly recommend this pitch training as well. So that is on the 30th of July. So next, the 4th of July, the 26th to the 28th of July, and the 30th of July. So I hope to see you 3 times in July in this room at the Smart Hub, 208 Key Street. Please join us and just hop onto our Facebook page. You can find links to all of these events or Eventbrite to register.